My poor little laptop is a little old, so running too many tabs in Chrome, then the CPU is maxed out.
And this is the same bit of hardware you play Cities Skylines on, yeah?
No. I'm not even sure it has the... it's definitely an integrated graphics card, and I'm not even sure it's one of the Intel ones. It might be even older than that.
Oh, wonderful. Hello and welcome to Skylines Talk, the new chat show for Cities Skylines, where we'll go behind the Sims and meet some of the brightest, most creative minds in the Cities Skylines community. Find out what makes them tick, and maybe even learn a tip or two. Who am I? I'm BonBonB, and you are very, very welcome.
Come here now, girl.
Right, welcome and thank you for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Love the show.
Right, so do I call you Avanya or Samantha, or is there something else you prefer?
Either that or Sam works as well.
Brilliant. So where did you get your creator name Avanya from?
It's actually quite old. More than 10 years ago I started doing live action roleplay, and that was the name of the first character I really played. So it just kind of stuck. It was like my second name for 3 years, and it's not taken in most usernames, so it's really handy.
So it sounds fascinating. Tell us a little bit about live action role playing.
Well, it's where do I start? Basically, it's kind of like, you know, any roleplay like computer games. Only you dress up as your character, and then you go and you are in character for like hours at a time. We were doing like a fantasy setting, so it was out in the woods, and you simply just like have all these like magical stories you play through and figure out, you know, why is the undead rising or something like that. It was really quite fun.
It sounds it actually. It really does sound.
Yeah, it's kind of like improvised theater, because you never really know. You've got some people that set up a story, and then all the characters kind of react to it and interact, so you never really know what the outcome is going to be.
Anyway, yes, so that's a bit of background, but can you tell me a little bit more about your personal background, like where you're from and what you do when you're not sat behind the computer screen?
Well, I'm from Denmark, lived here all my life, and when I'm not playing Cities Skylines, I'm still behind the computer screen. Obviously I do 3D modeling, and then I play a couple of other games as well. So
other than City Builders, what are these other games or genres that you play?
I played World of Warcraft quite heavily, not so much anymore, since Skylines taking a lot of time. Then I used to play The Sims a lot, which I think a lot of Cities Skylines players probably also do, like the creative aspect there. And yes, a few like RPG single-player games, but that's about it.
Right, I've never quite got The Sims. I've had a few goes, and
yeah,
it's one of those. You know, sometimes you just don't understand what you have to do. Do I have to win? Is winning getting to the supermarket? Because that's what I've been told I've got to do. And yeah. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot of the creative stuff, like building the home and, you know, building a dream home, or different types of styles like that. I love just making houses for them and not really playing them. So that was quite fun.
So how did that end up with you getting into Cities Skylines?
I was actually watching a YouTuber doing the Sims stuff, and he'd had a few videos on SimCity, the latest one. And then he had like an introduction video to Cities Skylines, and was like, hey, this game is super great. If you like SimCity, you should totally try this out. And it's Flabaliki, if you know of him.
Oh,
yeah,
Flabaliki,
he has a Sims the Sims dedicated one as well. So I watched his series on the Flabaliki channel, and was like, I gotta get this game.
Yes, for those that don't follow him, I'll try to remember to stick a link in the description, because he is one of the better.
He's quite funny, I think.
Anyway, before we start talking about your incredible assets, actually that sounds very bad. I'm going to rephrase that. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Right. So before we start talking about your creations, how do your city building skills match up? Do you play with growables, ploppables, or are you mix and match?
I almost don't play with growables anymore. I used to with building themes, but quite heavily. But with plop the growables, I have really started doing that by hand a lot. So everything is much slower as you hand place every house. But yeah, it's quite detailed. I do like still keeping like the realistic aspect to it. Like the city has to function still, but I'm probably mostly focused on how it looks as well.
So what led you into making your very first asset for City Skylines?
That's actually my husband's fault. We played to start with together, and he was working on making a military base for his city. And there's not a lot of assets for that. In fact, like 2 years ago, there was even less. So he was like trying to figure out, well, how can you make your own stuff and that? And I was just kind of looking, it's like, it doesn't look that terribly hard. Maybe I should give it a try. And he was like, yeah, you should totally do it. Which is also why I have, like, one of my first custom assets is, like, a target practice dummy thing. It's certainly not what I would use myself. But it was like, I think I know how to do that. And then I did that in Blender, and I was like, I think I can do some more complicated stuff.
I think we have to dig that that asset out and and use it in the asset review on the day that this interview goes out.
Yeah, it's an old one. It's not actually too bad. It's pretty decent for my first stuff.
So how do you feel that your modelling skills have evolved from those days to today? And is there any one thing that you specifically feel that you've improved at?
I've definitely come a long way. Like, just figuring out how 3D modeling works, but generally just making the textures more interesting and detailed. That's really something that keeps like getting better and better.
So when you think about starting a new asset, how do you actually start? Is it something you plan meticulously, or is it just a concept in your head?
It varies actually. Some stuff I plan out and I look up like find pictures of it, and sometimes I pick a specific building, sometimes I just have like 3 or 4 different buildings as a reference. For my recycling stuff, I actually looked up how recycling of glass and plastic worked. So I figured out like what sort of like chimneys do the buildings have, what do they need. So I did quite a lot of research there, but other times I was like, that looks cool, I'm making that, and then I was like, hey, it's got 2 pictures, that's enough. We'll just fill in the backside with whatever.
Yeah, that's creativity for you. So of all of your assets, which was the most interesting for you and why?
I think that's gonna have to be the DLC stuff I did. That was really cool to do. Probably because it was also different from what I'd done before. I've done all that industry stuff and then trying to do something completely different, and specifically something that could cover as many countries as possible, and still have like a coherent style.
Have there been any assets you've had to give up on at any point, and why, if so?
I do have a tram depot that I gave up on. It had 4 doors or something, and I just like getting those tracks to line up, and I had a mess of all those overhead cables. It looked horrible. It functioned, but it looked terrible. But I might come back to it, because now we got like custom networks, so I can make tram tracks without cables, and then just model the cable so it looks right. It might not be completely shelved, we'll see. I think we could use some more tram depots.
I think a lot of people do like their trams. It's not something I'm big on, but there are a lot of people that just go crazy for their trams. So anyway, European Suburbia, the official Skylines DLC. And it's you that made that. How did it come to happen? How have you invested the millions that you've made? And how long from start to finish did it take?
How it came to happen, I got a message from one of the community managers that handled the modding beta stuff, asking like, could you be interested in one of these DLCs? And I was, of course, yes, definitely. And pitched my idea, and then he passed it on to Colossal Order and Paradox, and I think they had some others they considered, and in the end they decided to go with me and my idea. And then from start to finish, I think 3.5 months of working, what, 30 hours a week, I think. Is what it took to make all those buildings. And then there was a little back and forth, like they had some feedback on the stuff and then some changes, and then I made that, and then it was pretty much ready to go. So quite a while, a little longer than my usual projects.
But definitely a project worth doing, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was really satisfying as well, and seeing how well it's been received, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Do you think they might come back to you with another commission, or?
I don't know. I would love to do others. Like, there are so many building styles I would love to do, and I imagine that the community would also love, like, variation is wonderful when we're building our cities, so I'd love to do more. I guess we'll see.
Any speculations on what subjects might be up next, assuming they were to come back with a big bag of money?
But I love contemporary modern buildings. I used to build that in the Sims a lot, so doing a housing style for that could be fun. There's also, like, especially like American Victorian buildings. That's also a style I could be interested in doing. Definitely something outside of Europe, I think, or something that covers more than just Europe, since I did like a European one this time. And then there is the whole side of Asian building styles that have not been touched much at all by modders either.
No, that's a whole area that's yeah.
Yeah, Ronix has done some Japanese style stuff, but it's there's not a whole lot of options there.
Do you have anything in the pipeline right now?
I do, lots of stuff. Currently I have a network I'm working on. My overpass prop thingy is being turned into a network that can be placed much easier and can curve and stuff like that. And then I have a ton of industry stuff. I still haven't finished the whole containers. I'm missing the small containers on trucks, which I'd also like to do this year. Yeah, lots of ideas. I have a very, very long to-do list.
I know that feeling. Yeah, you're going to do a tutorial for this. You're going to update a tutorial for that. Are you going to do a let's play? Are you going to do this? Yeah.
Let's not talk about tutorials either. I have a half-finished something lying around with like different scripts and that to change shaders and stuff for assets. Really handy for asset creators, but I haven't finished it.
So is that what's next for you in real life, or have you got big plans coming up?
All this DLC stuff has kind of kickstarted me to making 3D models my profession. So I probably can't live off Cities Skylines, though that would be fun. But there's definitely some time investment in building like my portfolio and that sort of thing there. But Cities Skylines still means a lot to me in that I'm definitely not going anywhere from making stuff for that.
Yeah, well, we really wouldn't want to lose you.
No.
So anyway, before we finish, are there any members of the Skylines community that we've not done yet that you'd like to appear on the show?
I'd love to hear from some more creators. I was thinking specifically of how do you pronounce the name? Theme Bowl Build? Brooklyn theme builder.
It could be Fine Build. I'm with you.
Fine Build, yeah. It's hard. Hard name, but like he's been at it longer than me, and still keeps putting out amazing assets. That would be cool to hear a little bit.
Right, well, I'll see if I can get hold of him, along with everybody else that's been suggested.
Well, my other suggestions would have been King Leno and Bloody Penguin, but you already covered them, so...
Only the best come on this show, and then I got Avanya as well.
Yay!
Well, thanks very much for joining me today. I hope you have many, many more years of enjoyable asset creation and city building.
Thank you.